What it'd be like buying, I've got my Xbox down there, it'd be like buying a new Xbox and then you get it home and it's playing Nintendo 64 games. You're like, well, there's nothing wrong with a Nintendo 64 game, because I bet if you do follow his program, you look pretty damn good, especially if you dedicate yourself to it. But I wanted my Xbox. Time out of the bald a-hole here, and as always, it's time to talk about Chris Hemsworth. Now, I already know what's going to happen. YouTube will be flooded with videos like this, and the only reason I felt like I should mention that is because you get the crazy people in the comments going, oh, you copied so-and-so, rah, rah. There's only so many things to talk about if you are going to do daily videos based on fitness, and Chris Hemsworth is just like a lightning rod for all of these things, because again, look how he looked a few weeks ago when we talked about this. He's probably more jacked than he's ever been in his life. When you do get in that kind of physique and you have such a big platform, you're such a big celebrity, people ask the question, well, how did he get like that? What's he doing? What's he not doing? Blah, blah, blah. It creates a very natural and a very obvious conversation. It took a little bit of a twist today, because on his Instagram in the last 24 hours, Chris Hemsworth said, oh, hey, I've got this fitness app called Centr, C-E-N-T-R, which is something that I was going to muck around with in the future for another video, but now I'm definitely going to do it on this. And within the next week, if you sign up now, use this free code or whatever, get 7 days free trial, I am going to take you through my workout for Thor. Right? I'm going to take you up my workout for Thor. Here it is, right? Boom, on the screen. We'll play it in 1 second. So, yes, in the description, he writes whatever we're calling it. I've had a lot of questions about my prep and training for Thor over the years. This time around, I was fortunate enough to have a solid period at home to try a multitude of nutritional and training methods to build the strongest version of myself and the character yet. From that, I decided to design a fully guided program on how I achieve those results. Eat, train, sleep, repeat with our Centr Power program. It launches June 21st. Sign up now for your free 7-day trial at centr.com. Roll the video. As you can see, he's looking pretty jacked in this video. Well, of course he is. And this is, again, where the conversation kind of goes down an interesting path, because lots of people will say, and probably correctly so, that Chris Hemsworth likely took something that is not kosher, we'll say, in order to look like that. Apparently, maybe, we don't know. But that's the key. We're probably never going to know. So if you were to indeed sign up for his Centr app, and you eat like him, you train like him, you sleep like him, and you do whatever the hell he's going to do. And again, I am going to do this program. As soon as I'm able to get back in the gym, not at the moment, go watch other videos, but it's very, very soon, I am going to do this program, and I am going to make a video about it, and we can actually see what is achievable and what is not achievable. But unless he's going to talk about literally everything he did, maybe apparently who the hell knows, you're probably going to get a lot of people that are going to end up disappointed. Social media, especially Instagram, floods you with these kind of messages because they want to sell you something. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I like to think that the human race and human beings mostly are smart enough to take a step back and see it for what it is. If it's too good to be true, it probably is true. But that's not the case for everybody, because we're so bombarded with these images and we're so bombarded with these messages. You may actually be in a difficult position at the moment where you're like, well, I'd love to look as good as Chris Hemsworth. In fact, I believe if I look as good as Chris Hemsworth, if I look as good as Thor, all my other problems will go away. Now, it will resolve some problems. It'll probably give you a bit more confidence, but it's certainly not the answer to everything. And that's why I think it's a little bit problematic, because you don't want to set yourself up for a fall. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. And if you totally buy in, because again, Chris Hemsworth is a role model to a lot of people, as he should be. I really like him. I think he comes across great in interviews. I think the way that he does kind of back up fitness and bodybuilding and lifting weights is absolutely awesome. And I think he's really good in all his movies, right? The last Thor film was Ragnarok, I can't remember what it's called, is my favorite Marvel film. It was silly, it was stupid, it was over the top, and I think they're going to do the same for Love and Thunder. And when you kind of have those feelings towards somebody, you kind of build a relationship up in your mind, like, oh man, I can trust this guy, blah, blah, blah. And again, we don't know what the program says, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But if it doesn't give you 100% of the information you need, and then you don't get there, and you've put all your hopes and dreams and, your short-term goals onto this, then you're going to feel worse on the other side. And that's why I think it's important to make these kind of videos. There's nothing wrong with Chris Hemsworth doing this. I mean, there is a massive grey area because you're like, okay, well, you're telling me to train like you, but maybe potentially, apparently, blah, blah. Again, you've got to be careful here. You're not actually giving us all the information. But hopefully we all educate ourselves and we won't fall into these traps. But it can be a negative. It's true. I know loads of people who, I talk about it from the masculine point of view. Absolutely valid from the feminine point of view. In fact, it's much worse on the woman's side. My gosh, it's like you can't get away from those kinds of things on social media. If you truly are going to invest your money and invest your time and you don't end up getting what you want, what it'd be like buying, I've got my Xbox down there, it'd be like buying a new Xbox and then you get it home and it's playing Nintendo 64 games. You're like, well, there's nothing wrong with a Nintendo 64 game because I bet if you do follow his program, you look pretty damn good, especially if you dedicate yourself to it. But I wanted my Xbox, right? And if Chris Hemsworth in Thor 4 is the Xbox, there is going to be some sadness. Of course it is, because it's not what you expected. And expectations will always be the come down when it comes to trying to get in shape. Because in your head, you want to look as perfect as possible. Now, there are a few people who are genetically superior that actually will. It's just true. But most of us who aren't going to take performing enhancing drugs, whatever word you want to use, we will get to a genetic limit. Not relatively quickly, but we'll get there eventually. And then you've got to start being smart with it. Like, do I sacrifice some body fat so I look a bit bigger, or do I sacrifice some size so I look a bit more ripped? It's not always sort of that black and white, but sometimes it's easier just to talk about it in that fashion. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you have set yourself up for this kind of stuff before. I do want to pop into the comments because I'll be massively intrigued to see what people are saying. Again, Francis Ngannou, the world heavyweight champion of UFC, says, that's impressive, brother. I might need some tips from you. That program is legit. Well, if he gets popped for a, for a drugs test, then we know what's going on. Shayna Munn says, don't forget the legs, which is quite funny because that picture went around, but we've talked about that before. Somebody else says, and the legs. Now, Pete Halverson says, he's got an asterisk saying, results may vary. Who is Pete Halverson? I'm sure I know, well, I should know who he is. No, I don't, but that's an interesting point. And then it starts, as I thought it would. Caleb Fitness says, can we get the cycle you're on as well? Let's look at some of the replies. You probably don't even lift. Yeah, I don't. Sick burn, bro. That is the best way to deal with troll comments. Just agree. What can they come back? And then again, does the app come with steroids? Are those extra? Do the Tremboloni sandwiches and the TRT come with this program too? And it kind of just goes on through that. What gear have they got you, lad? How many steroids, though? Genuinely curious. Never seen you train legs. So, of course, we get down there, and all of a sudden it just dissolves into the drug protocol and whether or not he trains legs. And the legs thing is ridiculous. I'm sure Chris Hemsworth trains legs. Calves are a flipping nightmare body group, but I don't even care about that. It's not even interesting me. What is interesting to me is I want to see what he's going to put out there. So I don't need to sign up for the free trial, especially because I think the free trial ends the day that program goes live. I'm going to pay for it. I want to sit there with it. I want to properly go through it, and I want to try it. At the moment, we've just got the sales tactics, and this isn't exclusive to Chris Hemsworth. This is exclusive to the world, and it's been going on for many years. You may actually get it and realize, oh, it's not actually giving me 100% of the information I thought, but it is putting you in a good direction. Like, if it feels like a positive program that's actually teaching you to be realistic with your results, and it may not be that bad. However, on the surface, it will make you raise an eyebrow for all the points that you've made, I've made, did that the wrong way round, and that Instagram has made. But he has become a poster boy for this kind of a stuff. And you can't say he's not genetically gifted to some degree. And I don't want to get into this conversation. Let's say in a dream world that we just made up, he is taking performance-enhancing drugs. He's still busting his ass. He's still working out hella hard. And again, he still has a good genetic base. Not everybody is going to look like that. But again, why am I making this video? Due to that. And I've been there as well. When I first started getting into lifting weights, I wanted to look like Triple H, right? From the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE. That's what I wanted to look like. And it took me sort of a good few years because I started lifting quite young, but I realized it's just not going to happen. That's not how my body is designed. It just isn't. Okay, maybe if I went and took something else, maybe I could get there, but I never decided to take that path. And again, I'm never going to rag on somebody for doing it. I just think in these kind of worlds, maybe you need to be a little more open with it, depending on what you're selling. Like, your personal information is your personal information. You don't have to tell anybody crap if you don't want to. But again, if all of a sudden you're saying, hey, pay, I don't know what this thing, I'm making this number up. If you say pay $100 for this program and you can look exactly like me, but you only give me 90% of the information that you already have, then once again, going back to what I said earlier, we enter this grey area. But this feels like the end of the Chris Hemsworth saga until we do that other video. Because, of course, what will likely happen now that Thor is done is he'll probably slim back down to size because he'll be wanting to play other roles. And if you remember what happened to The Rock when he first got into Hollywood, he lost all of his muscle mass because he was convinced you don't want to look this way because you're not going to get certain parts. And fair play to him, he did do that. And then he turned into a massive boulder, which is he become now. But Chris Hemsworth doesn't need to carry that muscle around for his job. Like, he's always in good shape, I'm not saying that, but the amount of mass he's put on is so he can play a superhero. And let's not forget, what does a superhero look like? They look like the most muscular person ever. Go and find 98% of all superheroes look absolutely jacked, which is another reason why I got into lifting weights, because I love comics. In fact, we should have another video on later on today, fingers crossed. But I loved comics. Oh, I'd love to look like that guy. It will make me feel good in my tum-tum. And it absolutely does. It changed my life for the better. But you just need to be smart with this stuff, and you just need to make sure you're switched on to it, so again, you don't get disappointed down the road. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe, hit the bell, ding ding, so you know other videos are going live. There is another video right there. Why don't you give it a click? The Power 13 cookbook is out right now, so you can hopefully keep on your diet with lovely, sustainable foods. Link is in the description. Use the code Simon15 for 15% off. Otherwise, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. Go to Patreon, patreon.com/SimonMiller316 if you want to support that way. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com. New merch should be coming this week. I just need one email. I'm waiting for it. Otherwise, you take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next one.